Welcome back to the Cold Blooded Sports Podcast. Today we're just going to get into a recap of what happened last night in the Super Bowl. I mean, it was what a game. I mean, just crazy from start to finish.
Yeah, it
I
was
mean, you
really
didn't know
good.
what was going to happen. What a way to cap off the 100th season. I think my main takeaway from the Super Bowl is that I mean, this is just proof that football is literally like a 60-minute game. Because through the
Yeah, for
first three
sure.
quarters, the Chiefs were getting just demolished. Like they were not playing how they had been playing all year. But it's crazy how one play just completely changed that game. That 3rd and 15 just heave to Tyreek Hill completely changed the game. I mean, the Chiefs honestly were only good for 7 minutes of the game, and it was the last 7 minutes, and that's what got them the win.
That's all that
That's, I
matters.
mean, yeah. I will say the Chiefs defense. I mean, they really stepped up during that stretch too. I mean, you got to give their general manager, Brett Veach, a lot of credit. They made a lot of moves this offseason, getting Frank Clark in there,
hmm
mid-season getting Terrell Suggs off the waivers. So, I mean, that defense proved their worth. Uh, as not, I mean, they weren't an elite defense, but it just showed with that offense, you just need an average defense.
Right. I mean, and aside from the average names on their defense, one player who stepped up a lot was Chris Jones for sure. Staying lateral on those run plays, clogging up the holes. Making crucial pass deflections because we don't know if those deflections could have gone for big gains or whatnot. But it's just he's a free agent. He's not a big superstar name, but he was one of the most valuable people on that field yesterday for the defense.
Yeah, and I think just yesterday, I mean, just the way that Mahomes played down the stretch, I mean, that's everything you want in a franchise quarterback. I mean, you saw a guy that was struggling. I mean, he had a bad pick to Fred Warner where he didn't see him. Um, and then the second pick, he was trying to protect Tyreek Hill. That's what he said. He was trying to protect him and not necessarily throw him into the safety, but he threw it a little behind him, bounced off his
Yeah.
hands, and Moore picked him off. But I mean, after that, I mean, he just showed why he is QB1 in the league, the best quarterback. When you got a guy like that, you can literally do anything. You can play bad the whole game, but at the end of it, when you got a guy like that, you're down 10 with 7 minutes left. You still feel that you have a chance to win the game. And on the flip
Right.
side, Jimmy G, he didn't play his best game. I know a lot of people are like really low on him right now. I mean, he was pretty. I saw a stat that he was 1 for 9 on passes that were farther than 20 yards down the field, and he also had 2 picks when he was pressured last night. Um, so I mean, the Niners, the Chiefs defense started to rattle him, and I felt earlier in the game Patrick Mahomes was the one that was rattled. So I found that interesting
Yeah.
how that was switched.
Yeah, Nick Bosa was getting in the face of Eric Fisher, getting instant wins off the line of scrimmage. Yeah, Mahomes did a good job of adapting to that pressure, knowing that he's not going to be inside a clean pocket the whole game. I just think Garoppolo didn't, he wasn't anticipating having such a pressure hectic game, and I feel like that's what really threw him off, like you were getting to mention into before I cut you off there.
Yeah, and I mean honestly, like I know everybody's kind of low on Jimmy G, but if he hits that throw, that 3rd and 10
Emmanuel
throw
Sanders,
to
oof,
Sanders, I mean, we're looking at a different narrative about Jimmy G. Kind of
yeah,
similar to how the script was flipped on Patrick Mahomes. How everybody was saying like, "Oh, he's not ready for this moment. The moment is too big for him," as he was struggling early in the Super Bowl. Um, I mean, to me, I think the blame goes more on Kyle Shanahan. Um, he didn't really start feeding Mostert until the midway through the second quarter. Towards the end of the game, I feel like they didn't run the ball enough during those final 3 drives. And
yeah.
after that second interception of Mahomes not coming away with points, I think ultimately lost them the game.
I think
Because
what
when you
lost
give
them
a
as
guy,
well, like what hurt them a lot. Sorry to cut you off. Was when they played it passive going into half, and because I mean they deferred. They were gonna get the ball like
yeah,
with like
they ran
half.
off like they didn't start
They just
taking
ran the clock
shots. There was
down.
19 seconds left on the clock. I mean, like I
Yeah,
just don't
and didn't do
understand the
any
clock
timeouts.
management there. But yeah, they didn't get Mostert going early. They didn't run the ball enough in the final 3 drives. Those last 3 drives, it was an average. They had the ball an average of 51 seconds. Um, But then I mean, like Garoppolo was good all season. Like he was clutch all season. He had those clutch games against the 3rd and 17 against the Rams. He was clutch against the Saints. But I mean, he just came up short last night. So to me, I put more of the blame on Shanahan. I don't know who you feel is most at blame for the loss, especially
Yeah,
being
I
up
mean,
10 and the way that they had them. Like after that pick, if they get points there, I mean, it's a completely different game.
yeah, like what Stephen A. Smith said today. It all goes back to like the whole Falcons mishap that happened. Um, it was just poor play management, poor play calling, and poor execution. You have a lead, you're up, by so much going into the fourth quarter. You just need to get the run game going, what you've predicated your entire offense on doing the whole year, and you fail to do that, and evidently it ruins the game for you, and it's like you only have yourselves to blame, and that's how I feel about it.
I mean, yeah, with the loss though, I mean, the 49ers still have a lot to be optimistic about. I mean, that they have a young core, and I feel like they'll bounce back from this loss. I mean, you saw their playmakers last night. You saw Debo Samuel.
Yeah, Debo
I mean, just
Samuel,
how versatile he is they use him as a slot running back. Like he's a slot receiver and a running back. You saw Nick
right?
Bosa just he's just a beast.
Yeah,
Fred Warner making plays,
Fred
DeForest Buckner
Warner,
pushing the pocket. Uh,
their
George
fullback,
Kittle. I mean, what
huge
can I
that
say?
almost had,
Yeah,
yeah,
and another thing with I saw Kittle was I mean Jimmy G that late I guess he did miss a few throws. When he missed Kittle, that could have been an easy first down that
yeah,
led them to punt and give the Chiefs the ball back. So all in all, it just really came down to the 49ers just not making the plays and letting the Chiefs get back into the game. And when you get a team like the Chiefs down, like you have to put your foot on the gas and you have to pull out those wins. Um, but at the end of the day, I mean, Mahomes was not spectacular. Um, but
no,
when it
he
mattered
did miss.
most, he made those plays to help them win the game. I
Yeah,
mean,
and like,
Damian Williams was a big part of this too. Um,
yeah, yeah,
he didn't necessarily he wasn't necessarily effective on the ground that much until the end of the game, but him as a receiver, just having that option to if you got Bosa in your face, you got Buckner pressuring you, you can just dump it off to a guy like that. And he made several like just he turned like a 2 yard
several
little
nasty
dump
moves.
off to the flat, and that ended up being a first down or a big gain. So I mean that's another. I feel like he was the unsung hero for the Chiefs on offense, and now for defense, their defense. I mean Chris Jones. I mean we all know he's a beast.
Yeah,
Definitely a top tier interior pass rusher. He's not an Aaron Donald, not a Fletcher Cox, but I feel like he's that tier below them. He's just a
mm-hmm.
monster. Frank Clark,
Kendall Fuller, Frank Clark.
yeah, Kendall Fuller played good. He's kind of that hybrid. They use him as a hybrid role, corner, safety, similar to Tyrann Mathieu. And I think another big factor of this game was that pass interference before the offensive pass interference before the end of the half. That I feel like that was a big turning point because the Niners had all the momentum while they were still leading, but the Kittle, yeah, where he extended his arm on Swanson, who kind of sold
He
it.
didn't turn around or
I
whatever.
mean,
Yeah.
that was I was talking about before halftime when they finally started being aggressive going into the half
Oh, gotcha.
when
Yeah,
Jimmy G hit Kittle, yeah, for that big gain and it just got called back.
yeah.
I think that kind of hurt them a little bit, but then again they bounced back after that, and yeah, it really just came down to the Niners not making the plays and the Chiefs making the plays. But I mean, I'm happy for Andy Reid, one of the best guys in the business, uh,
Mm,
tremendous guy. Everybody's happy for him. It's just a great story
yeah.
for the league
I
and
feel.
for the Chiefs.
Yeah, I mean, I saw a stat today saying that there's only two other players under 24 or 24 and below who have won a Super Bowl, and that was Tom Brady and Big Ben. So that's pretty good company to keep yourself, next to.
Yeah,
Also, I want to
just
say, like, yeah, I feel like, I feel like even though, okay, so the Niners had 5 penalties and the Chiefs had 4, right? But I feel like the Niners penalties were a lot more crucial than the Chiefs ones because they gave up a lot of first downs from penalties, and then it also kind of gave people back momentum, like like momentum shifts as well. I feel like for example, what I was talking about when we said PI was the time when I think like Mahomes threw it to Kelsey and someone didn't turn around to play the ball, and it just it put them on the 1 yard line and then gave them an easy touchdown. You know, like things like that just kind of suck up all of like the momentum you have as a defense out of you, knowing that you gave something up like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I mean, I think it was just a great like offensive game. Like both coaches pulling out crazy things. I mean, that spin-a-Rooney play that the Chiefs pulled out on the goal line was very creative. I like that weird option they ran at Bosa when they motioned Kittle. I mean
Yeah,
Kelsey. Goodness gracious, all
yeah,
these tight end names. When they motioned Kelsey out and attacked him, that was a very creative way to run a speed option type play. And it was
mm,
just an offensive clinic by two of the best offensive minds in the game. Sean Payton's in that class too. Don't want to leave him out, but he obviously didn't make it to the Super Bowl. I mean, it was just a tremendous way to end the 100th season. Um,
yeah.
the best two teams, and it just ended up that the Niners were on the short end of the stick. They hurt themselves. Um, Jimmy G's first interception was horrible. The
Mm-hmm.
second one, I mean, it's just kind of he was trying to make a play, just try to make a play at the end of the game. But it just comes down to it. That I think really, if Jimmy G hits that deep shot to Sanders, we're having a totally different narrative. But I mean, as I said earlier, the Chiefs, I mean the Niners will bounce back from this. They're a young team. They don't have that many holes. They don't have too many guys that they're going to lose. Um, I mean, one big loss is
Eric
they'll be
Armstead.
losing Eric Armstead, and but then again, you have D Ford there, which means he's just gonna have to play on first down, second down more. So
Yeah,
I mean, it's still looking good for them. All in all, though,
nothing good from that Breida.
yeah, I mean, he didn't even play that much in the Super Bowl. Uh,
Surprisingly, yeah.
yeah, they used
Coleman and
Mostert and Coleman, yeah, and um,
let me ask you this, all right? Question for you. Do you
yeah,
feel like okay, so is it fair to say that whoever wins like the championship, their quarterback most likely always wins MVP, like for the Super Bowl? Do you feel like
yeah.
it
I
should have
mean,
been Williams?
I mean, you can make a case for Williams, but then again, Mahomes made those spectacular plays, and he showed that effort. I mean, when he broke the pocket and just completely dove for a first
Oh,
down when it was like
yeah,
that, he showed that he wanted it, and he definitely was the biggest factor making those plays. That deep shot to Watkins after he got past Sherman, that was a big
oh
play.
yeah,
The 3rd and 15, and I feel like Mahomes, like the awards like that, it's kind of like the Heisman. It's like a moment thing. It's like what was the biggest moment of that game, and definitely the biggest moment was was the biggest moments involved Mahomes doing something spectacular, which we're used to seeing, and yeah, he's just so special. I mean,
yeah.
I saw
Like we
Tyreek Hill was talking about he was down. They were losing. It was 20-10. There's 7 minutes left in the game. And Patrick Mahomes came over there and was able to tell him to stay in the game. It's like, we got this. The game isn't over. And I think that goes to Coach Reed, Andy Reid. Mahomes and him both said they just told him to keep firing. It didn't matter that he threw two picks. Just keep slinging the ball, and good things happen. So that's a tremendous pairing right there. Hopefully, they can stick together and create a little run. I mean, it was definitely
I
entertaining
hope so.
seeing two different teams in the Super Bowl this year. So,
Yeah, for
um,
sure.
with that, I think we're gonna section into a mock draft post Super Bowl. Now that we have the official draft order set, we'll do another alternating mock. Except this
Yeah,
time, I think we'll probably switch it up. I'll have the first pick. We can
and
involve some trades if trades felt like needed. It's not necessarily 100% realistic mock. Just talk about some guys that maybe rose from the Senior Bowl getting in there, have a few different twists than our first one. So, but I think for me, with my first pick as a Cincinnati Bengals, it's going to stay the same. We're going to take our franchise quarterback. We're going to take Joe Burrow. The guy can do everything. His arm isn't the strongest, but everything you look for in a quarterback, he has that the swagger, deadly accurate. He's a better athlete than people think he is. Honestly, it wouldn't surprise me if his 40 time was faster than Jalen Hurts. Um, he's pretty athletic, and I think that's an underrated thing about his game. So with that, we're going to move on from Andy Dalton, take
Um,
our quarterback of the future, and Joe Burrow.
yeah. So with the second pick, I think it stays the same as well. I think Chase Young is going to the Redskins. I don't see why they wouldn't take him. It's just the most obvious pick that you can take. I wouldn't reach for a corner. I wouldn't go quarterback. You already have your franchise quarterback. Take the easiest pick and Chase Young.
And at number three, I'm going to get a little interesting here.
You want to do a trade?
Yeah, we're gonna have our first trade.
Okay.
We're gonna have the Miami Dolphins coming up from 5 to number 3,
Mm.
and the Dolphins. We're sending the Lions number 5 and 18 for number
Oh,
3. So it's a hefty price, but you got to pay the price to get the guy you want. And I feel like all along they've had their eye on Tua, so we're gonna take Tua with that pick. I mean, it's a little concerning. Um, his injury concerns, but I think that's the guy. I mean, they've been thinking about Tua since he made that play in the national championship game,
yeah.
and I think Brian Flores is a great coach. So pairing him with Flores and getting some offensive line around him, and later in the draft will be big. But I think they can't go wrong with taking a shot at a quarterback that could potentially be their franchise.
I like that. Uh, so because of that trade, Jeffrey Okuda has fallen to number 4, and the Giants have the 4th pick in the draft. And we've seen in the NFC East, they have people like Amari Cooper, people like Michael Gallup, Alshon Jeffrey when he wants to be healthy, Terry McLaurin, people like that. I feel like you need to go Jeffrey Okuda here. I believe they drafted a cornerback in the first round last year. I can't think of his name, but Okuda definitely brings a lot to the table at 6'1". Really nice, really nicely built. He's what people want in a corner. I think that the Giants would have to take him if he falls to 4.
And with the Lions on the clock, the guy that they were targeting was Okuda. So they're in a situation where their linebacking core is not the best. So I think they're going to take the best available player, and they'll take Isaiah Simmons, just a versatile chess piece in that Matt Patricia scheme. Can play all over the place. They could line him up in the slot, play him at safety, bring him in the box, play a little bit linebacker, give them something different than they have. A lot of the guys on that roster are in the 250s, like Javlani Tavai or whatever his
Mm-hmm.
name is, Tavai. He's not really good in coverage, and I think they need a guy like that. Dealing with Aaron Jones in that division, Tariq
Yeah,
Cohen, David Montgomery, um, and Dalvin Cook, most notably. You need some speed to help cover those guys. So I think Isaiah Simmons would be the perfect fit for the Lions defense.
nice. So with the 6th pick, I'm gonna keep this short and simple. I think the Chargers take Justin Herbert. I think that that's the guy that they're gonna get all along. Um, if the Dolphins do trade up, there's no other team besides them that need a quarterback, like necessarily. So I think that they're safe staying where they are, and they take the Oregon product at number 6.
And at 7, the Panthers. I mean, this is a team that's rebuilding. So for them, I think they just got to take the best player on the board. So I'm going to take offensive tackle from Georgia, Andrew Thomas, just to shore up the future of our offensive line, get a franchise tackle in there, and just ultimately just start building towards the future. And you can't go wrong with getting a tackle, a guy that can be there for the next 10 years and lock down that left side of the offensive line. So
Yeah.
they're going to take Andrew Thomas.
So with the 8th pick, the Cardinals, they do need a D tackle, but I feel like it's more important to get weapons around Kyler Murray. So I think they're going to reach here, or not. I mean, I wouldn't say reach, but I guess go out of the defensive needs and take C.D. Lamb at number 8. Speedy receiver, playmaker. He's going to work well with his old quarterback, Kyler Murray, really well in Arizona.
And I think right here with this is going to start the run for offensive tackles. Um, and with Jacksonville, I mean, there's not too many holes. In the last draft, we gave him edge, but I don't know necessarily if they would value that at this point. I think they'll take offensive tackle Jedrick Wills from Alabama just to shear up that offensive line, protect whoever is back there at quarterback, whether that be Minshew or Nick Foles. Both those guys are going to need protection. Jedrick Wills is a freak athlete, and he can provide some good stuff in the run game as well, which they're going to want to do.
Right. Uh, with the 10th pick, the Browns, I think they're going to take a tackle as well. Tristan Wirfs, you need someone to try and find that Joe Thomas replacement. Um, Keep Baker Mayfield safe. Give him more time to look for players like Odell and Njoku. I think it's going to be the obvious pick for them at 10 because not only are you getting a good player for the next 5 or so years, you're also you're making sure that Mayfield is protected.
Yeah, and with the Jets right here, they really need offensive line, but with no offensive lineman left, that Dean being top 11 pick, I think they'll take the best weapon for their quarterback, and they'll take Jerry Judy, get Sam Darnold a true number one receiver, an elite separator, just a guy that can be there, give him a reliable target for once. I mean, Robbie Anderson's a solid, but he's more of a number two. Anunwa's that big slot. Chris Herndon, their tight end, missed a lot of time. And not to mention Darnold missed 5 games as well. So I think that getting him a true number one receiver would be very good, just for the Jets' future in general, to make sure that the investment in Darnold actually pays off.
Yeah. I think that because the Cardinals took CD Lamb at number 8, the Raiders need a receiver as well. I'm going to go with Henry Ruggs at number 12. Someone aside from, what's his name? Inman?
Tyrell Williams.
Tyrell Williams, my bad, yeah. Someone aside from him, you have, what's his name from Clemson, Hunter Renfro. I think you just need another receiver, and we know that Henry Ruggs makes plays. It's going to be great.
So at 13, the Colts, they're a team with not many holes. They have a good offensive line. They have some solid weapons, good running back core. Their defense is pretty solid outside of interior. So right here, with the 13th pick, we're going to take interior defensive lineman. We're going to take Javon Kinlaw from South Carolina. He's a guy that reminds me of Chris Jones, a similar build, 6'2", 310, excuse me. Just a guy that can rush the passer and get after the quarterback. And his Senior Bowl was pretty impressive. He was there for like 2 days and just wowed everybody. So I think he's definitely going to be a riser because he offers versatility. He can plug up the run and he can rush the passer from the interior. And I think that's a very valuable asset in the NFL.
Nice. So with the 14th pick, I have the Buccaneers taking AJ Epinesa because my theory is that Shaq Barrett does not return for free agency. And with Epinesa still being there on the board, I feel like you need to go get an edge rusher. And that's what they're going to go do.
Now, with the Broncos, receiver's an option, but I feel like the guy that they would target isn't on the board. In Henry Ruggs, I think Henry Ruggs would be a perfect fit next to Cortland Sutton to unlock, not no pun intended, but to unlock Drew Lock's potential with his cannon arm, give him a true deep threat. But with this, I think they have to take the best corner on the board right now. So I got them taking Christian Fulton from LSU. Good size, can do a lot. And I think they need somebody. I think Chris Harris is out the door. So they need to replenish that cornerback room. And I have him selecting Christian Fulton.
Nice. I like that. So with me here, if I'm the Falcons, I'm picking best player available, and I'm going to go Grant Delpit. So on our previous mock, we had him going to the Buccaneers. I would have thought that you would have made him go to the Broncos, and assuming that Justin Simmons doesn't come back.
I think they'll bring him back, though.
Okay. So, with that being said, I'm going to go to the Falcons. I know that they have a pretty good secondary already, but you never can have enough people back there, especially, to give people competition. But yeah, with someone that good on the board still, you can't pass it up.
At 17 for the Cowboys, I mean, they have a glaring need in the secondary. Um, but the way this mock turned out, Derek Brown is still on the board at 17. Um, but they did take a shot at a guy last year. Um, so I think that they're going to roll the dice on the safety. That's their biggest need. They passed on one Thornhill last year in the second round, who turned out to be a steal for the Chiefs. So I think they're going to try to fix that, and I think they're going to take Xavier McKinney, the safety from Alabama, give them something different on that defense, and I think that's a piece that they're missing in that defense.
Nice. So
And this is
we
the
had a
Lions,
previous trade.
'cause,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. So we have the Lions having pick number 18 now. Um, I feel like, aside from Darius Slay, that secondary is questionable. Uh, and we saw someone already being off the board, as in Christian Fulton. I think that they're going to take the second corner. They're going to go C.J. Henderson.
All right, at 19 with the Raiders, I mean, this defense is horrible. They need to fix it. So I think they're going to go with a guy that can actually cover. From that linebacker position, we're going to take Patrick Queen, just a freak athlete, can do everything you want. Not necessarily the best in run defense, but he makes up for that with his pass cover skills. So I think that's who they'll take at 19, putting the Jaguars on the clock.
Nice. So, yeah, because you took Patrick Queen, I think that they're going to take Kenneth Murray, the Jaguars are, with this pick. Easily the best player available on the board still, and they need someone up there with Miles Jack because they lost Telvin Smith to retirement or taking a break or whatever it might have been. I just feel like that getting Kenneth Murray is going to be probably the best bet for them to take. I mean, they don't really need a receiver that to reach that far, but that's who I think they would take.
At 21, it's going to be the same pick from last mock draft, I believe. We're gonna just at 21 take Laviska. You saw what Shanahan did with Deebo Samuel, and I think that's a pretty good comp for
Laviska
would be Deebo Samuel.
Yeah.
So I think if you use him in a role like that, and coming from the Doug Peterson's a great play caller, so I feel like they could use his skill set to let him excel, and I think they'll take Laviska Shenault at 21.
Nice. So for me, I think the Bills are going to take T. Higgins with this pick. He somehow slid to number 22. I feel like they have John Brown, they have Cole Beasley. I just feel like they need a big physical receiver, and that's what they're going to get. Josh Allen is going to be throwing up, tons of deep passes to him. I think it's going to work out well.
At 23 with the Patriots, I think they need to address their offensive line. So I'm going to have them take the mauling left tackle, Mekhi Becton from Louisville, 6'7", 370 pounds. Give them something similar to Marcus Cannon, which I don't know if he's still on the team, but they need something at tackle, and I think he could be a great offset to Isaiah Wynn at left tackle. If you slid him over to right tackle, I think that'd be a nice fit for the Patriots. Give Brady more time to stand in the pocket.
Yeah, so this is a crazy drop. Somehow Derek Brown slid past all of us, and the Saints are laughing at all of us right now. The Saints will just take the best player available, certainly a top 10 pick, Derek Brown. I can't believe he fell. I can't believe we forgot about him. But Derek Brown is going number 24th, which I doubt in real life. But in this draft, he's going 24 to the Saints.
We all know the Vikings. They have a glaring need at corner with Xavier Rhodes' regression. And I think this would be a perfect opportunity to pair Stephon Diggs with his brother. And I have the Vikings taking Trayvon Diggs, cornerback from Alabama. He's kind of a similar build to Xavier Rhodes, that taller corner, but at this point, he's a way better athlete. So I think that's who they go with right there at 25.
You said Trayvon Diggs? Pardon me.
Yeah.
Okay. With the Dolphins pick, this is their third pick in the first round. Or only their second pick because they traded one. At number 26, I think they're going to solidify an edge need. They're going to get Kalavon Chason. They already got, their quarterback of the future. I think that at this point, you can invest in defense now because you got the main guy you wanted. And getting someone like Chason in the late first round is easily an easy pick.
With the Seahawks, we have a glaring need. It's always been offensive line for this team. Fant, their right tackle, is a free agent, and I think they're going to take offensive tackle from Houston, Josh Jones. He's a big riser from the Senior Bowl. He's a 6'7" tackle. He's a pretty good athlete, and I think he's a good fit to protect Russell Wilson up there in Seattle.
Nice. So I have a pretty bold pick here. I know that this is your team. I don't know how you're going to feel about it. Feel free to comment. They're not going to get an edge rusher. They're going to get a receiver. I know they already took one with Hollywood Brown last year, but with Jalen Reagor still being here from TCU, you're just going to give Lamar Jackson more toys on the offense, and I feel like that's going to be what they're going to do. This might, it might be bold, but I feel like Jalen Reagor would be really, really good in Baltimore.
At 29, the Titans, they're a team that's a pretty complete team. I do think they have one weakness, and that's their edge position. Outside of Harold Landry, they've tried several different pieces. They brought in Cameron Wake. That didn't really work out. He was on IR, so I don't think he comes back. So I think they're going to take Julian Okwara, not Romeo. That's his brother, I think. They're going to take Julian Okwara. The Titans, they kind of value these more athletic edge defenders, so I think he's a perfect fit in Tennessee.
With the 30th pick, I have the Packers taking the first running back on the board. I got them taking DeAndre Swift. They have Aaron Jones. They have people like that whatsoever. I feel like getting someone like DeAndre Swift, though, is very, very big for your offense because he can change up the game completely in different ways. And if you don't want to re-sign, all those backs you already have, you have someone in the wing for the next 4 or so years.
At 31, we have another trade. The 49ers don't have a lot of draft picks, so I think they're going to trade down. They're going to trade down to number 34. The Colts at 34. They got that from the Montez Sweat trade last year from the Redskins, and they're going to come up at 31, and they're going to take a shot on a quarterback. I have them taking Jordan Love out of Utah State. He's a raw talent. He's going to need to sit a year, but you have Jacoby Brissett there. I think in this spot, this is the perfect situation for Jordan Love. He's going to come into a situation with a great play caller, some solid weapons, and a great offensive line. And I think it makes sense for the Colts to trade up to get him, to get that extra that 5th-year option on him, just to make sure. I think that's the best route for them to go because they need a quarterback. Mm-hmm. So I got them taking Jordan Love.
So to end off the first round with the Super Bowl winning Kansas City Chiefs, I have the Chiefs taking Austin Jackson, a tackle from USC. We did see yesterday night, we saw Eric Fisher get tossed around a little bit by rookie Nick Bosa. It was all fun and games. Mitchell Schwartz has the right side locked up completely, but if you want to keep your quarterback safe, you need to protect the blind side. And Austin Jackson is what they're going to take here because not only is he a great pass blocker, but he also knows how to be physical and use his hands to swipe off edge rushers.
All right. Well, that's gonna do it for today's episode. Thank you guys for listening. If you're watching this on YouTube, comment, let us know. If you feel like that was a good pick for your team, let us know about our thoughts on the Super Bowl, just anything like that. Once again, thank you guys for listening. Have a great day, and we'll be back later in the week.